there are many Antichrists. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakha, Kodash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Now, I just wanted to do a video on this subject because every so often, you'll get somebody who will pop up on YouTube claiming that the Antichrist has been revealed. The Antichrist, misleading a lot of people. And what these guys who claim to know the scriptures don't understand is that an Antichrist is somebody who is against Yahweh Shai. If you're against Yahweh's anointed, which is Yahweh Shai, right, then you're an Antichrist. And a lot of people, they don't look up words. Okay, the word Antichrist is a compound word. Okay, it is a compound word, meaning it's a word that can be broken up into two words. So you got the word anti and you have the word Christ. The word anti means to be against. And then you got the word Christ, which goes back to the Greek word Christos, which means oil. Right? And oil back in the ancient world was used for anointing. Whether if men was being anointed to be king, to be ruler. So anybody who is against Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai is an Antichrist. If you're a smoker, you're an Antichrist. If you commit adultery, you're an Antichrist. If you commit sodomy, if you're into pedophilia, incest, if you're dishonoring your parents, if you're getting tattoos or receiving cuttings in your flesh, you're an Antichrist. Okay? If you line yourself up, if you're an Israelite man and you got long hair, you're an Antichrist. Okay? If you're eating unclean foods, you're an Antichrist. If you don't agree with what the men of the Lord are saying out there, starting with Great Millstone, the men of Great Millstone, then you're an Antichrist. Okay? So an Antichrist is somebody who is against the anointed. And there are many Antichrists. So let's go ahead and play this video, and I'm going to continue from there.
In the second edition of the Antichrist Take Up to Date. Here it is, July 28th, at the Commonwealth Games, the 22nd Commonwealth Games for 2022. We have these every few years. They've been going on the whole time. The Queen Elizabeth II was queen. It's the largest set of international games in the world after the Olympics. And this year they had 72 nations and territories participating. Roughly, they estimate almost a third of the world's population potentially watching. Okay? The whole British Commonwealth. At this event, Prince Charles opened it in lieu of the Queen on her behalf. He oversaw the whole thing. He was there in person at the Alexander Stadium in Birmingham, England. Okay? At that event, a giant Molech bull, 10 meters in height.
And that's idol worship, okay? That's idol worship. Back in the ancient world, people who worship Molech would take their children and sacrifice them in a fire as a burnt offering to this false deity. Okay?
Was rolled out into the center of the stadium to be worshipped and to face a large recreated, rebuilt, right there in front of everybody, mock Tower of Babel.
Salak.
With shards in it, and it begins with a star exploding in our solar system. That's how they introduced this. A lot of CGI initially. They portray a star outside our solar system, or maybe deep in our solar system, blowing up past Saturn. And it explodes a bright star like Lucifer. That's what it is. Exploding.
Nope, see, you don't even know who Lucifer is according to the scriptures. Okay, the word Lucifer means light bearer or holder of the light. And essentially, Lucifer is talking about the Illuminati. Okay, starting with the so-called elites who are the heads of the Illuminati, who claim to have the truth, to know the truth, in which on some level they have been enlightened to the truth of the Holy Scriptures.
And its shards fly through our solar system, and they reach Earth. And they land in all the nations of the Commonwealth. And these 72 quote-unquote dreamers, New Agers, find these shards outside their homes. They retrieve them. The first person to do so is named Stella. She picks it up. It's lit. It's brightly lit.
Which Stella is Latin for star. Okay, it's how you say star in the Latin. It's Stella.
It's like a large quartz crystal. It's bright white, lit as bright white, like an interior light, as it were, bright white. She picks this thing up and she prays to it, whispers to it and prays to it. Then she takes this
idol worship, okay? You're still worshiping stones.
Back to her home. All these others, these 72 dreamers, there's 72 of them total, including her, pick their shards up and they take them to their homes. As soon as they do, there are anti-gravity effects in their homes. Things start to float in the air. And then their homes are lifted up off the ground with these people in them, and they float across the Commonwealth from other nations and across the UK, across seas and oceans and lakes and forests and so forth, to Birmingham, England, to be over the stadium. All these homes floating over the stadium, and then they land. And the dreamers exit them in front of the audience, and they had the shards in hand. The bull then comes onto the stadium, pulled by slave women, slavish women on chains. The bull, they portray this.
You know, this just goes to show you that this world is at an all-time high when it comes to demonic worship. Okay, these people are under a heavy demonic vibration. Another reason why we need the Lord and Savior, Yahweh, to come back.
Rebels and detaches from the chains. And these female slaves who've been driven by somebody who's kind of like a Roman, a demon, whatever. He doesn't quite look like a Roman, are freed, right? So now the bull and these women are freed, and they pretend they're afraid of each other. And the bull goes on to the center of the stadium, and these quote-unquote dreamers, these New Agers, encircle the thing. But initially, before they do that, Stella comes with her crystal. She and 5 others, there's 6 of them, 6 of the dreamers, apart from these slavish women, who are behind now on the bull, either side of it as it's moving, kind of charging actually, into the center of the stadium. Okay, from the track, from just outside where it's entered, now detached from its chain, no longer restrained. Okay, charges into the center of the stadium. Stella wanting to appease this thing so that they're not killed by this Moloch idol. Goes with this.
The Lord is going to destroy our people. Okay? The Lord speaks against this. Okay? Idol worship. Because at the end of the day, that's all this is. It's idol worship, man. There's nothing to do under the sun. She was probably worshiping the calves back then.
This New Age crystal approaches it slowly with these 5 other dreamers. She's got the crystal in her left hand, and then she puts her hand up to the nose of the bull, and it bows down so that she can touch its nose with the crystal in her hand. She's the only one holding her crystal at that point. And the bull is, at least at that moment, appeased. And there's a whole backstory to this, and they say things, they announce things to the audience. about peace, love, friendship, yada yada, conflict resolves, slaves freed, all this kind of stuff. And
this is all New World Order shit, okay? Everybody putting aside their differences, coming together, And a matter of fact, just real quick, I just want to get that in Habakkuk. 'Cause, hey, the devil is at work here. Okay, let's get this real quick. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 5. It says, "Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. But he does what? He gathereth unto him all nations," right? "And heapeth unto him all people." Okay, that's the NWO agenda right there. Okay, bringing all nations together under one God, which Esau wants to play that role of God on the earth, where everybody has to obey him. Now, ultimately, he want to put a device the size of a grain of rice inside you, and ultimately, he wants to be your God. This is what this is all alluding to.
As this is happening, the slavish, and there are multiple stages to this, so I'm going to be skipping over some things, but this bowl kind of calms down. It's facing the Tower of Babel this whole time. And at times there are flames like the towers, like the flames of hell all over this Tower of Babel, okay? And it's facing this thing. The bowl is. They encircle it.
There's no such place as hell where people burn forever. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Multiple times, and they literally worship it. They've all got their crystals in hand. They bow down to this thing. And then later, Stella gets atop it and rides it as the woman riding the beast. And there are then 71 dreamers encircling it. And they're bowing down to this thing, worshiping it, and literally doing a New Age worship ceremony with their crystals before this thing, and inviting the whole Commonwealth to join them in this worship. And who's overseeing all of this? Prince Charles. And then the woman's riding the beast, right? And as we get toward the end of the ceremony, and there are a bunch of songs, by the way, that are accommodating this with significant lyrics, okay? And I won't go into that, but it's all documented in the book. At the end,
Okay,
as it's getting dark.
Which book is this?
This is going to be in the second edition of the Antichrist Captivity. One reason it's a little bit delayed is I have to get this in there. It's too critical. Okay? Right there at the end, the bull is rearing back. So it's rising up on its front feet. Okay? And it's encircled by the flags of all these nations, the 72. They've literally placed their flags at the base of this thing. So they're not just worshiping it with their crystals and all the rest, and not just being ridden by Stella, the one riding the beast. Now the tower is rising again before this beast. It's been built. And all the nations, by the way, their names have gone across this tower already, at this point been displayed on its surface. At the top of this tower, I told you those shards came down earlier from the heavens. This blown up Luciferian star, representing the devil, reaching the earth, falling to the earth.
Right, but who's the devil according to the scriptures? He's described as the wicked, right? Now, when you read Job chapter 9, verse 24, it tells you the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof, if not where and who is he? So the devil is talking about the wicked. And who rules the earth today? Okay? The so-called white man. Starting with the so-called elites and the rest of these so-called elite families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, they have control of the world through their monetary banking systems. Okay? According to the scriptures, they are the devil. And essentially, all so-called white people, according to the scriptures, are the devil that the Bible speaks of. The word devil means trickster or deceiver. Because that's what a devil does. A devil deceives and tricks people.
The devil falling to the earth, okay? And being taken up by these New Agers. So they all approach, they leave the bowl now, but the flags are at the base of the bowl. showing the nations are all worshiping around this bowl of 71. And I'm going to come back to the number 71. It's extremely significant. But at any rate, they all come to the base of this tower with their shards in hand.
Hey there, look at this. That's the shockwave flashlight. Now this thing does something that you've probably never seen before.
Skip.
And they stick them into the side of the tower. And they ascend visibly through the tower. And as they get toward the top of the tower, they form this ball, the original star that blew up, reconstituted. And then it rises above the tower, and you get this huge disco-like ball atop the tower that's lit up very brightly, and a beam of light goes between that ball and the chest of the ball. Now it's nighttime at this point in Alexander Stadium, an open-air stadium, so you can see these lights. But they're portraying the rebuilding of the Tower of Babel in our day, with Lucifer reigning over it, being worshipped by all the nations of the world. And why do I say all?
And let me guess, he's going to say Lucifer is the Antichrist. Look, man.
Said that the 72...
The word Antichrist just means somebody who is against the Lord's anointed.
The dreamers were for the 72. They're for the 72 nations and territories, the British Commonwealth, right? Stella being the 72nd, she's riding the bull. Why 71 worshiping around the bull? Okay, how does that represent all the nations? Well, here's the deal. At the Feast of Tabernacles every year, Israel would sacrifice 70 bulls. Not 71, 70. And Israel's rabbis historically understood
I'm going to have to fact check
that to represent the nations that came out of the scattering from the Tower of Babel. So they took those 70 to represent the nations of the world. And the way Christians and often the rabbinic community have interpreted those 70 bulls that were sacrificed, they would say, well, we have our God and we worship him and we do sacrifices on behalf of Israel. This is how it would be interpreted, right? So these 70 are for the nations. And oftentimes Christians look at that and they think this is a sacrifice on behalf of the nations, so that maybe their sins would be forgiven. The ones who don't worship the God of Israel at the Feast of Tabernacles each year, it was never that.
The only ones whose sins can be forgiven are the Israelites. Okay? Who's the law, statutes, and commandments given to? Well, let's figure that out. You can't add the other nations part of our covenant. Okay? The covenant was given only to the Israelites. I believe it's Psalms 147 verse 19. Okay? Here it says, he showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments to Israel. It didn't say Ishmael. It did not say Elam or Ham or Japheth. It did not say the Edomites or Amalek. It said unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Okay, so the nations don't know about the Lord's judgments, because the Lord did not give his judgments to them. He gave his judgments to the Israelites. Praise ye the Lord.
That is not what it ever in history represented. So I'm going to come back to what it did represent in a moment. It did represent the 70 nations, that's correct. But the reason there were 71 around the base of this bowl is because Israel was included. You see, the nation of Israel came after the 70 at the Tower of Babel, right?
Interesting.
So now they're saying, oh, Israel, by the way, you're not going to worship your God anymore. You're going to worship Lucifer with us. So there's 71 instead of 70 at the base of this bowl, led by the woman riding the beast, representing, if you want, the harlot church under the Antichrist, okay? And what were the sacrifices really about at Tabernacles?
But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and read this. This is the book of 1 John, chapter 2, verse 18. It says, little children, it is the last time. And as ye heard that Antichrist shall come. Right? Even now there are many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. So there are many Antichrists, okay? It's not The Antichrist is not going to be some guy named Lucifer that's gonna, he's gonna come up out of the ground and he's gonna have two horns on his head and wings and he's gonna be ruling the earth with terror. No. Okay, there are many Antichrists, and I just named some examples earlier. So with that, I'm gonna say Shalom is on to the next one.